What's going on, you guys? Theo here with the big review, back yet again with another King of Fighters Allstar video, and in today's video we are going to be going over a variety of subjects as we are going to be covering the summer battle passes that were just added in with the latest reset and seeing if those are going to be worth your hard-earned money. We're also going to be taking a look at the Leah Dice Game event and giving you guys some tips on how to farm most efficiently for those dice so that you can get around that board as much as possible within the time frame needed. And then we are also going to take a look at some new data mines that were added in with the latest update. But before we do all of that, make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe as we are officially on the road to 2,000 subs. So let's get it, and let's get into today's video. And we'll go ahead and get started with the summer battle passes. So these are going to be the newest passes that were added in overnight with the latest reset. And we're going to go ahead and start off with the Special Reward 1, which is going to be your $5 tier, otherwise known as your minnow tier, your dolphin tier, however you want to look at it. So with this one here, we'll just go ahead and cover the main talking points of these rewards, but we're going to have 400 rubies. It looks like we're going to have 2 multis for the unified banner as well as the unified card banner, and then those are going to be coupled with 5 of the summon tokens for each one of those respectively as well. So you get a couple of extra summon tokens in there, and then you're also going to get 120 auto clear tickets and a bunch of gold, bunch of AP, so on and so forth. So really the biggest selling point of this is going to be those multi tokens and even those little amount of rubies there that we get. So, you know, with this one, this is actually very worth it. With this, there are 2 multis apiece for the unified banner and the unified card banner. For those of you who do not know, typically the kind of average conversion rate that you look at as far as IRL money and tokens or rubies or so on and so forth, in this specific instance with tokens, they typically value a multi-token at around $5-ish, and then that will kind of go down depending on the box that you're looking at or the package that you're looking at or whatever the case may be. And in the case of this one, it is a very, very good value. So really with this one, I do think that it is worth it. I think anybody who is willing to spend a small amount of money on the game, this is worth picking up. Those multi-tokens are actually going to be worth it, but really though, the bigger talking point of this is going to be whether or not you feel like the unified banner is still worth your money whatsoever, because being that these tokens are the main selling point, and we are talking about the unified banner, which has become, I don't want to say kind of a dead zone, because we have recently gotten a new character, obviously, but at the same time, it had been a while since that had happened, and the character quality has been lacking in recent months. So you really have to weigh that, whether or not you feel like it's worth it. However, I would say that for that amount, that is definitely going to be worth it, even if you just want to support the game, even in a small way. So that's my opinion on this one. I do think it's worth it, especially for the amount of rewards that we're looking at this time around. So definitely a good little pass, and these passes are typically easy to get through too, so there's typically not any reason why you would have a problem getting through this in the amount of time necessary, as long as you get in with it early enough. So that's what we're looking at as far as the first battle pass. Now, what about the big one though? This is going to be, for lack of a better term, your whale pass. So let's see if this one's going to be worth a whopping $50 like they normally are. Now, of course, the real question is, what do you get for that $50? Well, for $50, you're getting a ton of value. You're going to get 4,000 total rubies, you are going to get 5 multis for the unified banner, and you are also going to get a Starlight Attack Circle plus Imprint Stone selection box, which means that you can pick from any of these Circle Starlight Stones that you want, which is really good value considering the fact that typically these guys are going to be pretty rare. So that's also really nice, but we haven't even gotten to the best part yet. So if we take a look here, you are going to have a KoF fighter selector. So yes, you have a selector for an actual fighter here, and guess what, you guys, if you go all the way to the bottom of this, if it will scroll, if we'll go all the way to the bottom, this is an updated list. So you can pick up Hinako on this pass. Very interesting that this is completely updated. So I do like the idea behind this, and I do think that this is a lot of value even by itself. But very, very cool that they decided to add this in here so that you can even pick up the newest character on the unified banner. I really like that they are going this route. Now, it gets even better though, because if you take a look here, you are going to have 2 memory selectors, right? and you can pick from any one of these characters to get their memory. But if we go all the way to the bottom again, there's Hinako. So you can also pick up 2 Hinako memories from this package. This is insane value, you guys. We haven't even gotten into the rest of this, and just by itself, all of those items there would be worth it, but you're also going to get an Attack Plus Imprint Stone Selection box here. This Attack Plus Imprint Stone Selection box is going to be good for any of these, and you can even pick from the Darkness, the Starlight Stones, any of these that you could possibly want. You can pick whichever stone that it is that you need for whatever character it is you need, and then you're going to get 100 rare enhancement hammers and 20 elite enhancement hammers. This is worth it. This is very, very valuable. This is a very good pass. I think that this is definitely proof positive that they are working on the value proposition of the game, and I really enjoy the fact that we can take a look at these and not just go, yeah, pass on the pass. This time around, this is not a cut and dry situation of just pass with these passes. You really might want to think about this one, you guys, if you have the money to spend on the game. I'm not going to tell you guys that you have to buy this by any stretch of the imagination. It's, you know, it's not a must-have, but as far as value goes, very valuable, and I definitely think this is a step in the right direction. If Netmarble wants more people to partake in these sorts of things, this is exactly the type of thing that they need to consider, is to make the value proposition of these packages make sense to people in such a way that people look at this and go, okay, that may be worth it. Because lately it has not been that way, and lately these passes, ever since that initial run, have been kind of sussed at best. So definitely nice. I really like all of these. I think that if you're somebody that has the money to pick up the $50 one, it is definitely worth it. However, if you are somebody that doesn't have that amount of money to throw at the game, I don't blame you. So just go with the $5 package. That one's also got a ton of value in it. But yeah, that $50 package though, whew, that is a lot of value, you guys. So very, very cool that they decided to do that. But next up, we are going to talk about the Leah Dice Game, because there is a lot to talk about with this, and I know a lot of people are looking for some tips on this in order to get through it. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some of my advice on this and how I feel like you should be approaching this when it comes to trying to get around this board so that you can get yourself that dimensional invitation and potentially even some extra rubies if that is going to be your thing. Now, of course, the biggest question about this Leah Dice Game is going to be, what are the most efficient places to farm? So I'm going to walk you guys through a couple of different ways you can look at this. So the first way that you'll probably want to look at this is basically, what is it that you need, right? Because all these different resource dungeons are going to drop dice. It just depends on the difficulty of the dungeon as far as what it is that it is going to drop as far as how many dice. So certain dungeons on certain difficulties are going to yield better results. In fact, the battle card dungeon at this point is going to be the most expensive for your AP. However, it is also going to yield you the best amount of drops as far as dice go for that AP. So really, this might be the most efficient way if you want to try and get as many dice as possible. However, it is going to have a couple of caveats to it. The biggest one being the difficulty of it for a lot of different players. This is mostly going to be something a lot of veterans would want to do, because I know a lot of beginners and intermediates would have trouble getting through tier 7, and because tier 7 would be where you would want to grind typically, based on the fact of what we already covered, which is the fact that these dice drops are going to be scaled based on the difficulty, you're basically going to want to go with that. And if you can't make that happen, then you may need to just go with going to the gold dungeon, the core dungeon, what have you. However, another thing to look at with the battle card dungeon is it does take quite a bit of time, comparatively speaking, to things such as story mode and some of those other dungeons as well. Typically, when it comes to the battle card dungeon on tier 7, it can take about 3-ish minutes, 2.5-ish minutes to do a run on auto, even with a fully spec'd out team. So this might be something that is better left to just doing overnights on, or if you have a separate device or you leave a device at home and set it to auto for 99 runs or whatever the case may be, however you play the game. However, this isn't something I would be kind of just doing if I had needed my phone or whatever the case may be. This is something I would be doing whenever I know I'm going to be away from my phone or away from my device for a prolonged period of time. So that's why I advocate for doing this overnight, because getting 45 dice dropped per drop is really big. And from what I've read, Basically, the drop rate on this is going to be roughly around 45-ish% or so, whereas a lot of these other ones are going to be in the 30 percentile range. So definitely a very efficient way to go, and a very good way to go when you consider the fact that the SS cards are still going to be in the pool for this right now, so you could potentially get really lucky and maybe get one of those. But if you guys saw the amount of dice that I currently have, it's because I autoed this on 99 runs overnight, and I got roughly around 4,000 or so dice. But the way you would basically look at this the other way around, if you're not just going to go for whatever items it is that you need and whatever dungeon it is that you need, is going to be story mode. And the reason why I recommend story mode is it's very quick, it's very easy to do. So my recommendation with story mode is always going to be the same. I recommend that you guys try to go for, if you need to do 2 birds with 1 stone, try to pick a 1v1 dungeon that is going to have the affinity drop that you need for whatever character it is you're trying to build. And by 1v1 dungeons, I basically mean things like this Opposites Attract dungeon here, which I'll show you how quick this can be. I've talked about this one in the past. I always try to just go for the 1v1 dungeons in story mode. The reason being is they are much faster to get through than you would find with some of these ones that are going to have different waves, because as you'll see here, and I'm just using my K here, so I'm not even using a character that is ridiculously overpowered, and I get through this in just a few seconds. So if you consider kind of time management to be more of a priority for you, then story mode is a really good way to go. It's not going to be anywhere near the amount of dice that you would see from things like the battle card dungeon, like I said. Now make sure though that you are picking the highest difficulty for these 1v1 dungeons that you can, because again, you want to try and get as many dice as possible. But while you aren't going to be getting as many dice per drop, it is significantly cheaper on your AP, so really it just comes down to what it is you're trying to do. However, technically, from the math I've seen on Reddit and on Discord, technically, while the battle card dungeon as an example is more expensive, based solely on the fact that you have a higher drop percentage rate and higher drops in general, this actually going to add up to be potentially cheaper than it would be doing this through story mode to get the full 20 rounds. So keep that in mind. That is something to consider. But for people who do not have the ability to get through the battle card dungeon efficiently, story mode is probably going to be their best option, like I said, unless they have a specific item that they need to grind inside some of those different advent dungeons or so on and so forth. So that is pretty much going to be my recommendation there. And again, any of these 1v1 scenarios in story mode on the highest difficulty are going to be the way to go. So just keep that in mind. So that is my recommendation on the dice game, you guys. Hopefully you find that beneficial. The next thing that we are going to do is we're going to take a look at some of these data mines, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this video up. So let's go ahead and jump into them. Alright, so first up here we are going to have what appears to be mystery boxes for the new star-shaped and moon-shaped imprint stones that are going to be added in, presumably at the end of the month. So as you guys can see, each color is going to be represented here, and we're also going to have a mystery box that looks like it will contain the gold and silver versions of each one of these stones respectively. So there's not really a lot here to talk about, to be honest with you guys. We pretty much assumed we would have mystery boxes for these new stones involved whenever they get rolled out. So as you can see, that will be the case. Now I'm sure that these are going to be things that we can probably get through different random drops, maybe from some of these new contents that they're getting ready to add in. Maybe these are going to be things in packages. I'm sure that there will be various ways we can pick these up, but these assets are currently in the data, lending more credence to the idea that this is going to roll out here sooner rather than later. Now, the next part of this is where things get a little bit more interesting. They did mention that we would be able to build these stones and collect different things that we need in order to do that from some of these new game modes, and as you can see, this is going to be some of those resources here. So basically these boxes in the data right now, this is called imprint stone cores. So interesting. I don't know what this means, what cores are going to be. I'm assuming that this is basically going to be one of the resources needed to make the specific stone that you're looking for, but it's very tough to tell. We do have the insignias for the different types of skills as well, maybe indicating that there are going to be specific star and moon stones for specific types of skills. And then that little gem that you see, those different gems down in the bottom right hand corner in the data, those are labeled as imprint stone ore. So So those are going to be what it appears to look like, the things that we need to build these. These are the assets that were added in with this latest update. And again, this basically, again, leaves more credence to the fact that we are probably going to be seeing these things sooner rather than later. And these are going to be craftable stones or buildable stones. And that should be something that should be welcome, to be honest, from most people. I think that this could be a system that makes these more accessible for everyone if you are going to be building these. So it depends on what the content is going to be involved in this, as far as how we are going to obtain this stuff, if it's going to be accessible for new players or intermediates or whatever the case may be. Because obviously if some of this new content is extremely difficult, then therefore it is going to be very difficult for people to get these things, and you never want to see that, because you want to see an even playing field as best they can balance it for everybody, no matter what walk of the game that they are in. So that is pretty much what we know right now, you guys. We don't have a lot more information at the moment on this stuff, but again, these are core boxes and or gems for your new imprint stones. So again, all of this is indicating what they've already teased to us in those handbooks, that we will be able to craft or build these stones based on drops for these items from these new game modes. So that is pretty much it for today's video, you guys. I just wanted to go ahead and make sure that I got you guys that information. Hopefully you found this video informative. If you did, make sure that you smash that like button and subscribe, as we are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. I will be back tomorrow with the Saturday Chat and Chill, but until then, you guys enjoy your Friday, TGIF, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.
Continue.